grade 12s, this is first day after the war. This is usually quite a nice poem to answer questions on. Once again, it is imagery that we are familiar with in our country, and we understand a lot of it that they talk about. So what should you know? Remember that this is a poem of celebration as the people have finally got their freedom. Please take note of the imagery used to enforce this. So the reference to wedding, music, light, and so on. And the imagery also emphasizes unity, but we'll go through that in more detail. Right, we heard the songs of a wedding party. So take note of the diction and imagery which reinforces the feeling of celebration. The people are singing in the first line. It's songs, and it symbolizes happiness. A wedding symbolizes the beginning of a new life for the couple as they start their lives together. This is symbolic of the new life the people will have now that they are free. A wedding also symbolizes unity as two people promise to live together in peace. This is also symbolic of the unity of the people now that the war has ended. We saw a soft light coiling around the young blades of grass. As always in poetry, light symbolizes goodness and peace. It's always a good thing. The young blades of grass, remember, youth always represents the future. So the young blades of grass could be a reference to the young people of the community and how they will now be able to grow up in peace. It also represents that there is now a future for that community. The light is soft as it's still new and not yet properly established, just like the freedom. It's coiling around the grass, it's moving slowly and carefully and surrounding it, so it's creeping in slowly. It's not something that goes bam and it's bright and it's right there. It's an idea that people first need to get used to. It's something that happens gradually. And this is similar to how peace is slowly becoming a reality for the people. At first we hesitated, then we saw her footprints, her face emerged, then her eyes of freedom. So the hesitation of the people represents the uncertainty of their new situation. The emergence of the sun can be interpreted in two ways. So literally, it is the start of a new day and the sun is rising. The sun is being personified. So her footprints are the rays which appear first as the sun rises. Then you see her face, which is the body of the sun, the ball bit. And then there are her eyes of freedom. That is when the sun is fully risen and visible and is shining brightly. Or it could represent freedom. The beginning of the new day symbolizes the beginning of a new era, so the start of a new time period. The description of the sun can be interpreted as the freedom that is moving closer. So there were signs of it that it was coming before it arrived, which are the footprints. The face is now that it has actually arrived, but it's not yet fully established. And then the eyes of freedom is their future. When that freedom is fully in place, it's fully established. So just make sure that you're aware of both of those interpretations because they're both equally important. She woke us up with a smile saying, "What is this that comes so suddenly? What day is this that comes so suddenly?" We said it is the first day after the war. So waking up to a new day shows a new beginning. There's a reference to smiling, which shows that they are happy. The day has arrived suddenly, which shows that it was not expected. It's that whole idea of this freedom that it's not expected. It's not completely out there yet. It's still an idea that they need to get used to. The answer expresses the theme of the poem. The line ends with a full stop, which causes the reader to pause and consider the line. So it's quite final. We said it was the first day after the war. So it's a stop that the speaker wants you to stop and to consider that line, and it emphasizes it because this line is the reason for everything else that is happening in the poem. Then without waiting, we ran to the open space, ululating to the mountains and the pathways, calling people from all the circles of the earth. So notice the use of we throughout the poem, which symbolizes unity. The other imagery in these lines also emphasizes their freedom and unity of the people after the war ends. Open spaces, mountains, pathways all indicate nature and space that would not have been enjoyed during the war. So the people are also now free to run and unite with strangers. They are ululating, which shows that they're celebrating and expressing their joy out loud. So there's a lot of freedoms that they're experiencing now that they would not have experienced during the war. So they have freedom of space, they can speak out loud, they can unite with strangers, they can speak to people. So it's really just a celebration that's happening now. We shook up the old man demanding a festival. We asked for all the first fruits of the season. We held hands with a stranger. We shouted across the waterfalls. People came from all lands. It was the first day of peace. The old man is possibly the chief of the village, somebody with authority. The people demand a festival with the first fruits. They want to have a big celebration with only the best produce, which shows the importance of the occasion. They really want to make it stand out, to make it to celebrate it in style. Again, there's imagery of unity, holding hands with strangers, people coming together from different parts of the country, so people came from all the lands. These obviously were things that would not have happened during a time of war. It was the first day of peace, again followed by a full stop. It's an important point, and the poet wants us to pause to consider it. It's the same as the previous sentence with a full stop. Then the final line is important. We saw our ancestors traveling tall on the horizon. Ancestors are acknowledged as they're an important part of most African cultures. Ancestors are traveling tall, which, please, you must know, this shows how proud they are of what has been achieved. If you're traveling tall, you're standing up straight, shoulders back, it shows that pride in their people. They're on the horizon, which shows they're now at a distance rather than nearby, providing guidance. This shows that they feel their goals have been achieved, so they can stand back, they can relax a little, because what they've been fighting for has now been achieved by their people. So the people are no longer in need of their guidance, so they don't have to hover around close by. They can back off a little bit. Okay, so please do the questions on the poem from the study guide. It's 2.1.1 on page 12.